Part 1. Line goes up. Before we begin, sorry, 3 things. I know there's a lot of preamble in this video already. 1. I can't believe I had to say this in the video. Don't abuse any artists who work for me. For one, you're wasting your time. I warned my current artists about this video and showed them some of the comments I'll be showing in this video, and they were like, nope, fuck that, and quit. So the comic is on hiatus. I've also nuked any reference to them and any other artists I've worked with as just an added layer of protection. You think that's me being paranoid. I'm not being paranoid. But just so we're clear, when I find some new artists who can imitate the style well and are okay with doing work for me, don't abuse them. I don't say this because I expect you to listen. I say this because I don't currently make NFTs. I don't buy NFTs. I don't work with NFTs. If you don't abuse artists that work for me, it stays that way. But if you abuse any artists for even associating with me, and that makes it so no one wants to work with me anymore, I will. I will make so many goddamn NFTs. And that's not a threat, that is the logical extension of what I'll have to do. If I can't hire normal artists anymore because they're all scared of being boycotted from associating with me, I'll just have to move to the artists that aren't monetarily affected by this, NFT artists. Of course, I can't afford them because they make way more than I can pay, so the only way I'll be able to pay them is if I let them mint their work for me as NFTs and let them take the profit. If you truly care about individuals like me not making NFTs, do not track down and abuse any of the artists that work for me in the past, present, or future, because it will inevitably result in me making NFTs when I didn't before and had no intention to do so, so it will be completely antithetical to your point. Even though I think you are horrible people, I am willing to cut you this deal. All you gotta do is let me speak my mind and leave any artist out of this. The same concept applies if my channel gets mask flagged and goes down and I can't get it back up. Because of the sheer amount of research I did for this video, I ended up making a lot of connections with NFT artists. If my career on YouTube ends, I have total confidence I can just start working in the NFT space instead. But again, I ain't gonna do that unless you make me. 2. That's all the essential information out of the way, so now I'm just going to provide a contents list. This video is mainly about the abuse NFT artists have got, but as a lot of people consider this justified, I've included debunks to all the major big anti-NFT arguments as well as provide an alternative explanation to explain what actually drives the NFT economy and why people would want to buy a fucking monkey JPEG for 100k.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go! Crown item, oh my god, 6918. God, it's such a clean piece. Processing. Woo. Come on, come on. Yo, let's fucking go! Oh my god. Emotional damage. There you have it. Oh my god, it's so clean. Woo!
I know it was weird to me when I first heard about it too, but I promise you, for at least half the people in the community, it's not about making money, and the explanation I will give you will make way more sense and be backed up with way more evidence and precedent. By the way, when it comes to the environmental damage argument, I'm not going to give you some cop-out answer about proof of stake and things are going to get better. What about Solana and green blockchains? No, fuck that shit. Bitcoin, Ethereum, proof of work, crypto, blockchain technology, none of these things were ever a threat to the environment. It's all bullshit. It always has been. You have been lied to. And just as a little teaser if you don't believe me, did you know that the analysis that originally popularized and set the standard for the environmental damage argument has 3 official rebuttals all published in the same journal that have been available since 2019? I bet you didn't, because no one brings that shit up for some reason. I wonder why. More on that later. Finally, 3, very quickly, I'm going to explain what an NFT is in the easiest way I know how. It'll take 30 seconds, I promise. Do you know what a CSGO skin is? They're basically unique skins you can put on your weapons in the game, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, that make them look different to other players. The big difference between CSGO skins and skins in other games is that they can also be traded with other players for other skins and even money. What this means technically is that a CSGO skin is a digital record in a company database that lists someone as the owner of something purely aesthetic and gives them the ability to trade that ownership with other people. The only difference between this and an NFT is that that record of ownership is kept on something called a blockchain rather than on a database of a single company like Steam. This is the key difference because it means literally anyone can make an NFT of anything, not just a single company like Steam, and also means no one has to trust a company like Steam to manage the record. A blockchain isn't owned by anyone, it's a decentralized system, and therefore trustless. Or at least that's the argument. Other than that, it's the exact same. Both and sold are traded between each other for often large amounts of money, even up to hundreds of thousands. Both are used in scams. Both are used to show it off to other people, whether it be in-game for a skin or on social media with a profile picture that links to your wallet, so anyone can just click on it and see the NFT's details, particularly to check if it was created by the account they perceive to be as the authentic creator or original creator, as after all, anyone can make an NFT even of the same image. There you go. NFTs in 30 seconds or less. I didn't count, that was probably 30 seconds. It's actually super easy if you know about like other digital assets. Also, side note, if you're a fan of my channel and you're wondering like why I'm doing this video when I'm like an intellectual property abolitionist, I would completely argue they're completely different things, but I know a lot of people like see these things as very similar because of the artificial scarcity. This is covered in this video too. If you want to skip to it, you can, just to like know what the fuck's going on. Okay, thank you, bye. Alright, now I can finally begin. Let's start with the lies. So before I mention people pretending artists don't exist, let's start there, because if nothing else, this is the front-facing, polite side of a rotten core that detractors like to show off to people who don't know any better. Particularly in videos like this one, Line Goes Up by Folding Ideas. The video I'm making here isn't really a dedicated response video to this, although I'll be rebutting a few sections as we go on. This video lies about a couple of the core facts about NFTs and gives the impression that NFTs and what they're used for is a lot more black and white than they actually are. Not only that, but after watching through all 2 hours of this video, it is impossible for me to believe it is not motivated by the exact same malicious intent Twitter has to throw artists, the people I genuinely thought they cared about, under the bus. You're probably thinking to yourself, but this video is very pro-artists and claims NFTs do nothing but hurt artists, right? This is what I mean by the polite front face of a rotten core. This video maliciously sweeps anything inconvenient under the rug and hyperfixates on anything bad. The hilarious part about this is in doing so, it creates contradictions that make it fairly obvious he's lying. Let me show you what I mean by giving you 2 separate paragraphs in this video. See if you can spot the difference.
All told, the frenzy collapsed pretty quickly. By June, the market had already receded by about 90%, which incidentally just further incentivized the low-effort process of minting other people's artwork to the point that art platform DeviantArt implemented an extremely well-received feature that scans several popular NFT marketplaces for matching images. The output of that is extremely depressing. Not to labor the point, but reposting digital art without attribution is nothing new. Profiting off someone else's art is also nothing new. All that's new is NFTs represent a high-energy marketplace with an irrational pricing culture where the main buyer is easily flattered and not particularly discerning. The potential payoff is extremely high, much higher than a bootleg Redbubble store. The consequences border on non-existent, and the market is clearly in an untenable state, so there's an incentive to get in at as low a cost as possible before it collapses. Hence, the absolute plague of art theft. While a few sellers, legitimate and otherwise, made off with undeniably big paydays, hundreds of thousands of artists bought in only to find that there wasn't a new, revolutionary, highly trafficked audience of digital art collectors. Instead, there was a closed market, dealing in casino chips, where the primary winners were those already connected, who already had the means to get the attention of the whales in the media, a market where participation required buying into a cryptocurrency at a rapidly fluctuating price in order to pay the minting costs to post the work where it would sit unsold.
The first paragraph implies that stealing art to sell as NFTs was extremely profitable, especially after the initial boom as the number of thieves significantly increased, so much so that it could be called a plague, and DeviantArt's NFT scanner even reported over 80,000 cases of art theft. But the next paragraph implies that the actual artists who made NFTs of their own work, especially after the initial boom, were almost always negatively affected because they wasted money on gas fees, the fee to create an NFT, for no return. Do you notice how these 2 paragraphs don't make any fucking sense? The art thieves can make a lot of money and are seemingly unaffected by gas fees, but if the actual artist provides the exact same product, they make nothing and even make losses because of the gas fee, despite the only difference between these 2 groups being that these are the legitimate artists. This gets even weirder when you realize, by the video's own admission, the original creator seems to have some kind of influence on the sale of an NFT, with many people associated with the creation of famous memes such as Nyan Cat, Overly Obsessed Girlfriend, Bad Luck Brian, were the only ones able to sell their associated meme for a high amount, despite anyone before and after being able to mint and sell the exact same meme as an NFT themselves. Even if you assume this is due to the initial boom in NFTs somehow, there are plenty of memes that sold like this. For instance, the Men in the Coffin Dance meme posted a video in April of this year to verify their identity so they could sell an NFT of the meme they star in as a charity drive for Ukraine. It sold for $1 million. Although perhaps this was the idea behind the primary winners were already those well-connected who had the means to get the attention of the whales. And they are the faces of famous memes, so they do have media presence. But you'd think art thieves of all people wouldn't have that. It's a ticking time bomb before someone finds out. And when it does, you'd think your legitimacy, media presence, and connections with the whale would start to rapidly decline. So surely the original artist, if anyone, is likely to have more connections and media presence than the average thief. After all, they would be able to actually build reputation without risking it all collapsing at any point, right? So let's go back. How can being an art thief of a piece of work be extremely profitable while the legitimate creator has effectively no chance of being profitable at all? Simple. One must be a lie. In his effort to paint crypto in as bad a light as possible, he has given two negative statements that can possibly be both true at the same time. Now obviously it's quite serious to accuse someone of lying. After all, maybe he just made the assumption without realizing the contradiction and never found direct evidence that substantiated that contradiction. I personally disagree. Because this video is a very well researched 2-hour video, and yet it takes 5 minutes to see this statement is wrong. I found out what I'm about to show you accidentally? How did you not find this out in your research for a 2-hour video? So before we get into the rotten core that this lie is covering for, and before I obliterate any of the other arguments that are used to justify it, like the idea that NFTs are all scams, or that it's bad for the environment, I am going to indisputably prove this one false, so that no one can hide their malicious intent behind it ever again. Part 2. NFTs are really good for the artists who get into them.